Yo. What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News Radio. I am your host, Life Malcolm, and just very, very happy to be in the studio again. I think this is 2 weeks in a row. It's been hard to do that lately, man, but we're in the studio 2 weeks in a row, and definitely want to start, as is my custom, by giving a shout out to the In Touch News Radio staff and owners, mainly my main man, DJ CEO, and of course, Mrs. DJ CEO, aka Tampa Bay Tammy. Also, got to give a shout out to my man, the mystery man. It's just funny to me because I think some of y'all like, ain't no mystery no more, but maybe it still is a mystery. The mystery man behind the board, making the magic happen, making everything look good for you, hopefully making me sound good and what have you throughout the program. And got to give big thank yous to all of the listening audience tuned in, whether you tuned in on www.intouchnews.com or whether you tuned in on our YouTube channel, which is, of course, In Touch News, or our Facebook page, which is, of course, In Touch News. So, yeah, man, we here, and so it's a lot. I'm in decompress mode right now. Just came off a tremendous event. We did our third Solo Mike's event at the Tampa Improv, and that was Sunday night. So it's a lot of work that goes into producing, promoting, and hosting the show. And if you've ever done an event I don't care if it's your child's birthday party, it's a lot that goes into it, planning, sending out invitations, making sure the venue's right. Even if it's your house and it's 12 people, you got to make sure everything's right. And when when you're done, you just want to kind of decompress. So I'm in decompress mode. So if I look sluggish or sound sluggish, I am. It's been a long ride, but it was a great show. So I wanna talk about that a little bit throughout the program. But I want to also, I guess, start by. So I want to set that up by. When I say set that up, I want to set up talking about the Solo Mike's event by just kind of venting, man. Like I listen, this is kind of therapeutic for me. It's therapy, y'all. Yeah, I come in here, I come here to talk to y'all so y'all can listen, and I wish y'all could talk back. By the way, you can. The phone number is 813-444-9588, so you can talk back. I would love to hear from you. But I ain't gonna lie. I come in here just to not just hear myself talk, but to talk knowing that somebody somewhere is going to finally hear what I'm saying.
That other attorney says the same thing. You know that other attorney?
Which one?
Clinton Paris.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah,
he
Clinton,
says
that's my man.
comes, it's therapy for him, and he decompresses.
Yeah. That's what's up. And so for me.
Is that an attorney thing?
Could be, because I happen to be an attorney. But I'm gonna tell you, hey, look, it's a lot of things in this, just in my head that I really can't say to a lot of people when I want to say it, because it would put us in an awkward kind of situation. And I try to avoid awkward situations as much as I can these days. But I'll tell you, spoken word. Like before I became an attorney, before I even started doing community organizing work, I was doing poems and poetry and building that in Tampa. And the funny thing is, whether we talk about right now, I can't. It's not a lot for me to say about the work I've done as an attorney because I've only been doing that work for. I haven't been doing that work for even 2 years yet, right? So it's not a lot to say about that. But there is a lot to say about the work I've done as a spoken word artist, as not just as a spoken word artist, but as a spoken word producer, a spoken word promoter, you know. So, because I've been doing it for more than those two things for more than 20 years, and I feel some kind of way about that, about that, and because the spoken word world, the spoken word community in Tampa is not where I wanted to be, and I feel responsible for that in a lot of ways. And the community, as far as African people's power, as far as money, politics, safety, when it comes to our own security, is not where where it should be. And I feel in some kind of ways responsible for that. And I know I'm not. I know it's not like I can swoop down like some kind of spoken word Superman or some kind of community organizer Superman and save the day, because that's not how it works. It takes all of us, right? So when I say I feel responsible, I'm not saying I feel like I could have done it and didn't do it. When I say I feel responsible, I'm saying that I recognize my role in bringing the vision into fruition, and I don't know if I think I could have done some things better. So I want to just kind of just talk about it. When I first started doing poetry, spoken word, in the Tampa Bay area, it must have been 1998, 99, I think 98, 99, something like that. It's been a long time. Can't hardly remember. I think 98 I was still rapping. Like when I came back to Tampa from Atlanta, off of my, my somewhat, rap success in came to Tampa, came home, and nobody was feeling my rapping. Nobody was trying to hear conscious rap, thoughtful stuff. Everybody wanted to, roll them and booty shake and drop them and, all this kind of stuff. And, didn't nobody want to hear anything about urbanic plague and only the strong will survive and a man's got to do what a man's got to do and being misunderstood. And so anybody want to hear all that, right? So, at least not in the club. So what I started doing is going to poetry spots and singing my raps in what I thought was like a poetry cadence, a poetry form, and people listened and liked it and wanted me to do it some more. And so I kept going to the poetry spots, and then I just came to it felt. It felt it didn't feel genuine, like I'm this rapper and hear these poets up here doing all these poems that you could tell they had these notebooks, right, and they done wrote these poems. And at that time in Tampa, most of the poems were about love and heartbreak and relationships and stuff like that. Nobody wasn't talking about anything political with, and I will always say this, the exception of Eyes Africa. Eyes Africa, Eyes of Africa, Eyes Africa. His first name was Floyd. I don't remember his last name, but Eyes Africa is one of the most brilliant writers and one of the most powerful orators that have ever walked this planet. He died young from, I think it was lupus. I think complications of lupus. But look him up. Eyes Africa. IZE space OFRIKA. Eyes Africa. I mean, and his voice, whenever he came around, his voice would capture you. His content was provocative, political, poignant, and with the exception of Eyes Africa, nobody else around here was talking. I'm not talking about myself. I'm saying, was talking about political stuff. And the reason why it's easy sometimes to leave Eyes. Let me say it differently. The reason why it would be easy to leave Eyes out of this kind of story is because Eyes didn't hit the spoken word scene like that. He had a CD, and he put it in. What was the name? Felicia Thompson. Was the name Felicia Thompson? Books for Thought.
Winton.
Felicia Winton. Books for Thought. So yeah, I have a friend named Felicia Thompson. She's on the West Coast. Felicia Winton, and Books for Thoughts.
God rest her soul.
Yes, she did. She has moved on as well, but the CD was in her shop, and I remember going to Felicia's store, Books for Thought, and like, hey, I forget what I was trying to get her to do. I don't know if I was trying to get her to come to the show or sponsor the show or do. I forgot what I was trying to get her to do, something to support what I was doing. She was like, "You need to do what this guy over here is doing, and if you ain't doing this, whatever, forget you." You know what I mean? And so it was like, all right then. But I got the CD, I listened to it, and was certainly amazed. But Eyes didn't come out like that, so he wasn't really a part of the spoken word scene. But he was amazing, and but enough Eyes praise. It can never be enough Eyes praise. Matter of fact, I'm finna go home and listen to the CD when I get off the show, because just, man, amazing. Check them out if you can. I don't know if it's online available, whatever, but do that. But people just doing whatever, and so I show up and I got my rap thing, to a poetry cadence going, and I feel like, okay, I'm cheating from these people who are actually writing these books. They crying because they pour their hearts out. I'm like, so I need to write some poems so I can. So I can feel real when I walk into a poetry show, and all. My background with rap is that General Johnson. You know who General Johnson is, Mystery Man? General Johnson from Chairman of the Board. You remember Chairman of the Board? We probably didn't have this discussion before. You remember Chairman of the Board? Pay to the Piper. If you want to dance to the music, then you got to pay to the piper. Go tell your mama. And then General Johnson wrote for Holland, Dozier, and Holland. You familiar with that name? Holland, Dozier, and Holland used to write for Motown, and so after they broke away from Motown, they started their own thing: Holland, Dozier, and Holland. And so General Johnson wrote songs for Holland, Dozier, and Holland. You remember the Honeycombs? You remember the Honeycombs? All right. So he wrote "Stick Up." Remember that song, "Stick Up"? Highway robbery, it's a felony. Heartbreak in the first degree. Yeah, and he wrote that "Free the Pain" song, "Bring the Boys Home." So yeah, it like that was my background. I'm gonna tell you some more about that. I didn't realize we had gotten that close to break, because I wanted to like cut it off at a good spot, but we got to cut it off right now. But we're gonna come back and tell you a little bit more about that, and then I'm gonna just talk about the Soul on Mic stuff and how I'm feeling deep in my heart about the city and everything else. So look, this is the Life Malcolm Show. The calling number is 813-444-9588. You can talk to me, but I'm gonna talk to you.
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. Listening to In Touch Radio.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Yo. Welcome back, world. Welcome to the Life Malcolm Show. I'm your host, Life Malcolm, right here on In Touch News Radio, where everybody is a star and the biggest star is you. And you are even bigger star if you call and talk to me. I don't know why people don't call and talk. Like, just call. I'll let your boy. It's all right. I promise that you have something to say that I want to hear. So just go ahead and hit me up, 813-444-9588. But even if you don't talk to me, I'm going to talk to you. So back to what I was saying. General Johnson, he wrote songs like Patches. Some of y'all might remember it from Clarence Carter, the blind dude. Did he play guitar or something? He did. He played, I don't know, a harmonica or something. Anyway, but Patches, I'm depending on your son to pull the family through. It's all left up to, yeah. I mean, that was my man, General Johnson, big dude. After he left Holland Dozier in Holland, he became probably the biggest beach music artist in the history of the country, on the north, in like North Carolina and all that, doing that stuff, but ended up in Atlanta. And so anyway, his son started a production company called 33 and a Third. And it was like, he saw me rapping. And at that time, I just lost my connection with Death Row Records, because Death Row Records bailed Tupac out of prison. And when they bailed Pac out, Death Row stopped working with all the on-board artists, anybody who wasn't already selling records. So they just cut us. And but I was still on the scene, working with Strapped Records in Atlanta. Shout out to Tino, Shaky, Billy, so it was just a good time for me then. But my music, when working with Strapped Records, right? And they weren't talking about strapped like they ain't had no money. They weren't talking about strapped like wearing your seatbelt. Seatbelt law wasn't even in place then. They were talking about strapped, you know what I mean? So, so my music was like that. It was tough, gangster. I was working with Death Row Records. So I had, we had those kind of songs. Me and my man Maestro, shout out to Maestro. So we had that kind of, thing going. But when I got with Norman Johnson, General Johnson's son at 33 and a third. General Johnson was like, yo, you can't just be rap. If you're going to rap, if you're going to be doing this music, you can't just be saying stuff. You got to say stuff that's going to help our people move forward. You know, that's going to do so. You got to say something that's that has some kind of I don't even know if he was thinking political significance, but certainly he was thinking social significance. And so so that shaped this album that we did together called Urbanic Plague. And Urbanic Plague had, of course, a lot of social and political stuff, but, you know, it still had some of my, you know, some of the thug stuff, because that's really who I was back at 19. But anyway, so fast forward, right? I get here, and when I began to write poems, that artistic influence that General Johnson had on my life just stayed there. And so my poems, all my poems, were like political and socially charged poems. And you can see for yourself. I have the VCR tapes. You remember VCRs? What you call it? I have the VHS tapes that you put in the VCR. I have the VHS tapes that will show you that while all these other cats, all these other poets, whether man or woman, they were doing all these touchy-feely, lovey-dovey, broke my heart, can't pay my bill, whatever kind of poems. I'm up in here talking about, social and political issues, and that's important, because that really changed, or at least it changed what other poets talked about after a while. And likewise, the poets who were doing all that lovey-dovey, touchy-feely stuff, it had an impact on my work too, because I was like, I need to put some of that stuff in my repertoire. As a matter of fact, like the improv, it's like the improv and I have a 20-year relationship too. And so I would go to the improv, and all my poems, all I had, I'm in the comedy club doing poetry shows with this guy named, what was his name? I want to say his name. I can't think of his name right now. But he looked like one of the Whispers, and he used to work over there at Mr. Man in the University Mall. I can't think of his name right now, but I'll think of it hopefully before the show. But anyway, he did this thing called, either it was lyrics. He flipped the name of a show that was going on TV. Like, man, it's wow. I used to know this. I have it written down somewhere because it's going in a book. But anyway, so here I am, man.
Freddie. So you think you can? Was that his?
No. It wasn't Freddie. But I'll think of it. But so he would do this thing. Oh, so I can tell you this though. The show used to be called Lyric Cafe. That was the show on TV. But he flipped his Monday night show to Cafe Lyric. So that was the flip. And so he would do that every Monday. And so here I am coming into the comedy club where most people still doing that lovey-dovey, touchy-feely poetry, but I'm coming in here like Kill Whitey, burn down the establishment. And so the people at the improv were scared as a mother when I walked through the door. Like they was like not scared of me, like like I was gonna do something, but they were scared that I was gonna ostracize the crowd.
Incite violence.
Yeah, they thought I was gonna just push they crowd away. You know what I mean? And so, and I had all I had was that hammer. I ain't have no drill, no nothing. And so the poets who did the touchy-feely soft, poems helped me learn how to, write about other things too. So like, while I did influence them greatly, they did too influence me as well. So that's like the background, right, for the poetry thing. And so fast forward, after doing a lot of work in spoken word, for 20 years, for 14 years, I did poetry for a living, right? And, raised poets, raised some people's children who were like young poets in the poetry world. And now here I am. And I went to law school, came back from law school, and was at the, and so I was so law school. I was gone for 3 years. Went down to South Florida, Miami. I went to law school in Miami, and came back 2020. I was done with poetry. I hadn't done a poetry show in Tampa, certainly in 3 years. Probably before that, because I probably was caught up in preparing for the law school. Stuff like the the LSAT and stuff like that. And so when I get to back to Tampa, I'm preparing for the bar exam. Last thing on my mind is doing a poetry show, because it's work, man. It's exhausting. Like I told you, if you ever prepared for a birthday party, a wedding, a graduation party, you know it takes work. And so doing this stuff every month, every week, it was just out of the question at the time. So poetry, I was done. I was done. I had served, in my view, I had served the Tampa Bay community well. I made Tampa Bay a flagship for spoken word. People would come from all over the country to do spoken word here, straight up. And I started slam poetry here in Tampa. Started a youth a poetry showcase in Tampa. Put hundreds of people in the building every week, certainly at the Hip Hop Soda Shop. I remember the number was 99. I averaged 99 people every Tuesday at the Hip Hop Soda Shop, and we brought names like Sonny Patterson and Will the Real One Bell and 13 of Nazareth and Queen Sheba, and I mean just so many people. My man Third Rail, certainly Keith Keyboy Rogers, who started Black on Black Round. Just so many people from all over the country we brought through here. Kevin Sandblum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So we did that, and so I felt like I served. I served the spoken word world well. Stepped away, left it in good shape. And doing my lawyer thing, good. When I left though, it just like the spoken word thing just looked like it dropped off, like fell off a cliff. No more people coming from out of town. No consistent spoken word events. Certainly no spoken word events of the caliber I used to produce and present. And that was disheartening, disappointing. But that was no longer my business. So I just I was cool. But I'm at the Martin Luther King Jr. parade, and it had to be 2021. So 2021, I'm at the Martin Luther King Jr. parade, and people, no matter what I do, I guess will always think of me, or think of poetry when they see me, or when they think of me. And ironically, when somebody says something about poetry, almost the first thing they think of, at least in this city, is me. And so this woman was like, yo, you still doing your thing? I'm like, what? Like law school? Like, no, poetry. I'm like, yeah, no, I just graduated law school, because I thought she might have thought I quit law school or something. So like, still doing your thing, I thought she meant, am I still doing the law school thing? I was like, what you mean law school? Yeah, no, I graduated. She's like, no, poetry. I'm like, no, I don't do that no more. I'm studying for the bar exam. I'm about to be a lawyer, all that. She's like, but we need you to do poetry. I'm like. But I don't, I can't do that, because I'm doing law and I'm be a lawyer. And it's like, but we need you to do poetry. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I didn't know if I could make her understand that, how impossible that was. It was 5 minutes we had together on the street, but what she said stayed with me. And so after I passed the bar exam, after failing a couple of times, right, I finally passed. And when I passed the bar exam, the opportunity presented itself for me to hook up with a friend of mine, a brother whom I consider a brother. And we said, hey, what do you think about doing an event every now and then? Because, can't do it monthly. I know I can't do that. Can't do it weekly. Can't do it monthly. What do you think about doing something every now and then? He was like, I bet. And we sat down together and did some brainstorming and came up with this idea we call Soul, to do this event we call Soul on Mics, which is a play on the Eldridge Cleaver book, Soul on Ice. not that I like Eldridge Cleaver or anything like that. Not that I even like the book. I mean, it was all right book. It gives you some perspective on the climate and the political culture at the time. But it's not like a praise of the book or anything. But I just when thinking about what we wanted to do, we wanted to do not just poetry, but we also wanted to put some soul music on the stage. Also, bring some comedians on the stage, and so and make it. Make it a thing like from the artist's soul to the audience's soul, and so we called it Soul on Mics, and that's how Soul on Mics began. I know we got to go to break. I can see him doing this thing right here back. So look, we're about to go to break, and then so now that you got a little bit of history, now I can talk to you about what I want to talk to you about, because I came and hit a vent and decompress and therapeutic and all that. So look, this is the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News Radio, InTouchNews.com, YouTube channel, Facebook page, 444-9588. See you on the other side of the break.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
He's an old school dude from the Young Lord. It was a good show. Yo, what's up, world? You know what it is. This is the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News Radio. I am your host, Life Malcolm, and I've been talking, just really talking about myself in a certain kind of way, but talking about this, spoken word history, and there's no way to talk about spoken word history in Tampa Bay without talking about myself. Just like it's impossible to talk about spoken word history without talking about Myron Jackson, without talking about Mars Allen, without talking about Otis Anthony, without talking about James Tokley, without talking about my man Ozzy. It's impossible to talk about spoken word without talking about those. Although I haven't talked much about them, because that wasn't the kind of thing I wanted to get into. But I'm saying, like, when we talk about spoken word in Tampa Bay, we got to talk about me. And if I don't talk about me, the issue, here's the thing. One of the things that suck about spoken word, certainly in the Tampa Bay area, is that there's not enough spoken word artists who will talk about the history and the people who laid who paved the road. And if I don't talk about me, these cats are do the DeSantis to me. I'll be out the history books, if it was up to most of these cats. And that, my friends, my sisters, brothers, and friends and enemies, brings me to the point that I just came in here just feeling some kind of way about. Look, this past Sunday, my man J.B. Hillsman and I brought to Tampa Bay Asia Sampson, an HBO deaf poet, renowned. I mean, he's a spoken word legend. One of the he's a Filipino in a predominantly African genre, and killing it, and has been for almost 20 years, if not more. I met him in 2004, so I mean, he was doing it before then, but I mean, he's been killing it. We brought him. We brought She's So Cold from Houston, and brought my man Keyboy, the father of Black on Black Rhyme, that spawned Black on Black Rhymes everywhere. There's a Black on Black Rhyme. There was a Black on Black Rhyme Tampa. I'm not sure if it's still here. You got a Black on Black Rhyme Fort Lauderdale, Black on Black Rhyme Polk County, Black on Black Rhyme Dubai. There's a Black on Black Rhyme in Dubai. I mean, it's been Black on Black Rhymes all over the place based on Keyboy's vision. You can see the dog chains, the books, the shirts, Black on Black Rhyme everywhere. I mean, even the last poets, like the old school, brothers, rock the Black on Black Rhyme shirts. You can see them in rap videos, everything. We brought Keyboy Rogers here. We also, not only did we feature these legends, but we also presented on that same stage local artists who are striving to become legends themselves. We had comedian Miss Quinn, and we had my man Lance, who did these incredible monologues. He did Malcolm X, and then he switched from Malcolm X and went to Joe Clark. Joe Clark from Lean on Me. Get the chains off the door. And then we also had Sean, who is security at the Tampa Improv, but a musical artist as well. And we gave him an opportunity. And I can't, forget my main man P Funk, who provided the musical soundtrack all the way from Baltimore. He lives here now, but I mean, he's a whole different kind of DJ with a whole different. He provides a different kind of experience. But I met him in Baltimore in 2004 when he used to host spoken word events that I would perform at which I would perform. That's how I should say it, right? Got to do it like I got to show my education skill sometimes, at which I would perform. Don't want to leave the preposition out there. Some of y'all get it, some of y'all don't. But at which I would perform and would kill it, rock it. And so when he moved to Tampa, not Tampa, but like the Riverview area, and saw that that JB and I were doing this solo mics thing, he was like, "Yo, what's up? I want to DJ." I was like, "Yo, come on through." And so this beautiful ensemble of artists at one of the most prestigious venues in Tampa Bay, the Tampa Improv. We did that. And we were able to put a couple of hundred people in the building. But it wasn't packed. The first floor is packed, but there's a second floor. And could have got another 100 people in there. And I want the artists that we bring into town to perform in front of a packed house. And when I fail to pack the house, I feel some kind of way. Not just about me, but about y'all. And I expressed that to a close confidant of mine, a sagacious gentleman. And when I told him, man, I was like, "Yo, man, what you think that's about?" That. So, I'll figure it out. But so I was like, "Yo, like, why do you think it is after I have been, everybody in Tampa Bay, with the exception perhaps of two people, Eyes not included because Eyes is no longer with us, with the exception perhaps of JB and one other person, everybody with any kind of name recognition in Tampa Bay regarding spoken word got their opportunities through me. I put him on stages, took him on the road, the rest of it. Made spoken word big. And in addition to that, you know, all the community organizing stuff I've done, like I like really have dedicated my whole life to this community. At least that's, I mean, you know, that's how I see it, and a lot of people know it. At least that's how I see it. And so I think when I say, hey, I'm doing an event, I'm thinking I'm selling out the first day. As soon as I announced the show, Sold on Mike's June 11th, I'm thinking sold out, you know, the same day. Because, you know, you hear all these things about, you know, somebody coming from out of town, you know, somebody who's never done a damn thing for this community. They come into town, sell out. You know, and here I am, you know, this guy who's always been here, and, you know, I got to struggle to get close to selling out. And so I asked my man, like, why you think that is? And he said something. I told you he was sagacious, and in his classic sagacity, said to me, everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. Yeah. And so that changed the game for me. I mean, so like I promise you this, the next show won't be sold out. If you there or not, the next one will be sold out, because now I know that. So what I used to do, for example, my show Straight Up Poetry, the show that I did. So I've done several shows. I did Black on Black Rhyme. Then when I stepped away from Black on Black Rhyme, man, I keep trying to walk away, but they won't let me walk away. I stepped away from Black on Black Rhyme. I was done. I remember my main man, Third Rail, was my last feature. I think it might have been like August of 2013 or something like that. I stepped away. I was done. And was good with being done. You know, I was good with it. But then Eric, who owned the Ybor City Jazz House at the time, called me up, was like, yo, I want to talk to you. You know, come through, see what we got going. I want to talk to you. So I come through, and it was funny, too, because he, man, this is history. Y'all getting some, like, real straight up, like, documentary stuff right now. I was at he brought me to, he asked me to come to the Ybor City Jazz House on an evening to discuss doing a poetry show at the Ybor City Jazz House on an evening when he had people at the Ybor City Jazz House doing a poetry show. I don't know nothing about the Ybor City Jazz House at this time, because I'm done. I'm going. I'm good. I'm at the club, right? And so when I get there, like, I don't know who these people are, but they know exactly who I am. So when I walk in, they feel some kind of way. Like, you know, especially when they see me talking to Eric, they feel like I'm trying to, you know, run up on their territory or whatnot. But, you know, it wasn't even that. I didn't even know what them people wanted me there for. I didn't know Eric, I know what, but they said they want to talk to me about something, so I'm there. And that turned into, you know, a little, you know, it was, you know, thick. The air was thick, you know, because the hosts of that show, by the way, that didn't last long at all, you know, felt some kind of way because I was there. You know, I think they felt like I was trying to, you know, encroach. And what ended up happening was, you know, we started doing the show at the Jazz House, Straight Up Poetry, and had a great run. I mean, so many people came through. Some of y'all know, I mean, you know, like Bishop Bullwinkle was a highlight. I mean, you know, like we ain't just have, you know, local people. I've always put locals and legends on the stage, right? And I mean, we've had like just big names, and I can go down the list. Moses West, Sonny Patterson. I mean, we could just. I mean, the list is too long because I was featuring people every month, and so after that, right? I stepped away from Straight Up Poetry and went to school, and it was done. And then now they say, we need you, the lady. And I don't know if that lady at the Martin Luther King Jr. Parade ever been to the show. And I'm not going to call your name, but if you ain't never been to Soul on Mike's, you know, hey, you know. But anyway, but keep pulling me back in. So now we're here. But I guess my point is, when at Straight Up Poetry, you know, so Black on Black Rhyme, that's where I was at the time. The show was like $5 in advance, $10 at the door, that kind of thing. Then at Straight Up Poetry, we done moved to the point we've advanced spoken word to the point where people will pay $100 for a table, which was unheard of in Tampa Bay for a poetry event, right? It wasn't no such thing as VIP sections and preferred seating. You'll see that now. You'll see a lot of copycats. Everybody done stole the blueprint. Now they have preferred seating and VIP and all that stuff, right? But Straight Up Poetry was the first event to do that, and it was $100 tables. But now, sold on mics, the VIP tickets are $50. If you want a table, that's $200, right? So it's even it's a step up from the $100 table idea. And when my man told me that everybody in my circle and in my corner meant two things to me. One, I shouldn't expect everybody in the circle to come through because they ain't in my corner. The other thing it helped me understand was I need to expand the circle because I was out here, marketing to the people I always marketed to the $100 table people. But I need to go reach the $200 table people. And so I promise you that moving forward, spoken word, and I don't even want to do spoken word like that. Really, I talked to and I don't mind mentioning his name because he's 91, 92 years old. So I want him to hear his flowers while he can still hear them. Reverend Willie Dixon. The Right Reverend Willie Dixon told me I can't, I either got to be a poet, I either got to do poetry, I got to do law. And it's not that I want to prove him wrong, but I will tell you this. What I want to do is prove to Tampa that I can and I will make spoken word as big as Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay. When you think of Tampa, you're going to think of, maybe you might still think of spoken word. Busch Gardens first and then spoken word. I promise you, or I will die trying. And that's the move. That's the ambition. I know we got a break. So look, and coming back, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about some stuff that might make the story might bring the story to a cozy conclusion. But yeah, we'll be right back. Yo, this is the Life Malcolm Show. You can still call me up, holler back at me. If you got some spoken word history you want to share, call up, man. 813-444-9588. It's the Life Malcolm Show.
Tell a friend to listen in. It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/hereforyou.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown. 1-800-361-RICK. That's 1-800-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy stay by. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 1-800-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
Yo, you already know. It's the Life Uncle Show on In Touch News Radio. All right, man. So, being a boss, being the king, it's hard work. You know, and it's sometimes a thankless endeavor. You know, my main man Moses West, I mentioned him earlier. You know, Moses West is a dope poet, but also one of the best battle rappers in the battle rap game. And he had a line that says something like, "People will like where you stay until they see the bills and know the price that you pay." You know what I mean? And so, everybody, like want to start their own poetry show. And, the whole poetry thing is all messed up and muddied up because, people see the king doing the thing and think they can do it, think it's easy, and then jump in and just mess it up. It just mess it up. And so now people don't know the difference between a premier spoken word event and the junk that, happens, late night in some smoky club where people jump on stage without preparing and polishing and all. And so they think it's the same because there's not enough work on my part to make a demarcation, right? We're gonna change that, but in over the course of time in forging a path for poetry, because look, when I tell you that people, there were hundreds of people, a couple hundred people in at Solo Mics on Sunday, and that ain't no mean feat. That is no mean feat. That takes work to put people in because the tickets $25 in advance, $50 VIP for poetry, and people paid that came through and supported, and that just supported the show. I mean, supported the venue, buying food, drinks, and all that. That's what we want. We want to build the culture, right? And we're gonna do that, but in making that kind of thing happen, you sometimes have to you have to be stern, and unwavering, and sometimes mean, I guess, in a certain kind of way, but not mean for the sake of being mean, but it's like for example, there were times when people would want to come to the event I hosted, and so generally the CD's $10, right? CD's $10. Everybody's selling their CDs for $10. But then you had these like job-having poets who, they got a job. So like I would feature poets who didn't. This is what they did for a living. And so they made, the way they would feed their families is by selling these CDs. The money I paid them for coming, and by selling their CDs for $10. But then you have these job-having ass poets who come through and be like, oh, well, because they know they can't compete with the dude who just featured, right? They can't compete. And they get on stage and say, well, tonight my CD is just $3. I'm like, no way. You can't sell your CD in here for $3. No, if you ain't going to sell it for 10, you give it away. And and maybe that seemed mean, I don't know, but that's the business. I can't watch you undercut, this person who does this for a living because you got a job that's subsidizing, your whole life, right? And so people thought that was mean. Another example, like So one time this one guy called this meeting of poets so we all sitting at the table like poetry mafia bosses, right? We all at the table and they convened this meeting, and so somehow they've all come to this conclusion that we gonna all advertise each other's show. Everybody gonna advertise it. It's gonna be on this back in like MySpace. It's gonna be on my MySpace page and your MySpace page, and you gonna advertise mine. And then they got around. They like, you agree. And everybody like, yes. They get around to me. You agree? I'm like, hell no. I know. I don't agree because I did it for a living. And the thing is, I made sure as long as I ran Black on Black Rhyme, there was a Black on Black Rhyme show every Tuesday for 13 years. Every Tuesday. Didn't miss one Tuesday. There were times that the venue was shut down, locked up, chains on the door. We did the show in the parking lot. Every Tuesday we were going to do that, right? But other people, when I would send, people to these different venues, people would go to the venue, ain't no show. Or they get to the venue and the show sucked. And all I had was my word, my reputation. Even right now, like solo mics, ain't nobody get no paper ticket. Ain't nobody get no receipt. I say, look, I'm gonna do a show. Send me some money and just show up. Just trust me. And because my word is good, people do that. It's good. So I can't mess that up. Messing around with somebody who ain't gonna make sure that they have a show when they say they're gonna have a show. I can't do it. But it look mean, because everybody's saying, yes, they're gonna advertise. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna do it. So if that makes me mean, I'm cool with that. But I would tell you about, I want to end this show with this story, tell you about me. Because anybody who knows me knows that I'm not mean. Maybe I am mean. I don't know. Maybe I am. But anybody who knows me knows that if I am mean, I am just as loving and just as compassionate. I belong to a poetry troupe called the Conscious Party. Came up with that name, Conscious Party. And one of the things I used to do because of my consciousness was go to, it used to be called Moms, right there on 29th. You ever been? It used to be a little across the street from Cal's, like kind of down the street from Cal's on 29th. Little white building, little kind of, just a little small spot. But they can cook. A greasy spoon for real. And I'm talking about cook some good food, right? And so when I was a brick mason, or when I worked I'm still a brick mason. When I worked as a brick mason, about once a month, I would go to Mom's early in the morning. I would say early, I'm talking about like 7 o'clock in the morning, like give them enough time to cook up stuff. And go in there and buy everything they had in the building. So I supported that business. I packed the truck. Pork chop breakfast, salmon croquette breakfast. They had, I think, beef steak breakfast, bacon breakfast, sausage breakfast, and no meat breakfast. And at that time, I drove a Chevy Tahoe. And I would put as many breakfasts as you could that could fit in the back of the Chevy Tahoe, and drive down there to under the bridge, like on Franklin downtown, like Franklin, like right under the interstate. I go down there and then sit there and just pass out food. That's I don't do that now because I know better. We got to struggle now, but that's me. But the story I want to tell is that because I'm still that person. I went to my friend Salam Shahid. I went to his birthday party in Polk County, and had to go, went inside, had to come back out to the car to get something. My wife was with me, and we walked back out to the car, and there's this kitten, meow, 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 and don't know what's going on, and it won't stop. It won't stop. It's just meow, meow, meow. So I had some cashews. So I took the cashews and I threw them on the ground. And the kitten went up to the cashews and didn't want the cashews. And my wife said maybe it needs some water. And I had a bottle of water, much like this one. And pulled out the knife, cut the bottle, had water, and I set the water on the ground for the kitten. And the kitten. And the kitten just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. Yeah. and yeah, it made my heart so happy. That's who I am. Anybody who knows me knows that's who I am. And you know, I live for spoken word. I die for spoken word. And I appreciate everybody who supports this joint and everybody who's in my circle and in my corner at the same time. All right, I appreciate y'all. Yo, this has been the Life Malcolm Show. I hope y'all enjoyed what I said, and if not, you know, get out the circle. We'll talk in the future though. To be continued.